Yep.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I
Wait.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm like you, I never got the Birth Pangs one. It was a little bit more raw sounding. I do like the Hotter Than Hell one.
Okay.
I mean, it's not perfect either. It's a bit raw in places, but it's real rock and roll. So I like that it wasn't overly polished and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it wasn't polished at all. Uh, I mean, I didn't like it. I just felt like it wasn't. I just felt like it didn't sound good. It just I don't know, and it just seems like they didn't have like a good mix of like songs on there. I mean, they didn't have anything from State of Control in there, right? It was all Rock for the King and Atomic Arena, right?
Yeah, but did this predate State of Control? I don't recall. Let's see, 1990 is the release date. So
Yeah, they did not do anything from State of Control. It's not
So
on
what,
here.
what I think it was is that they had an obligation to fulfill their contract, and
Yeah.
they had a live
Yeah.
concert already recorded, and so they just
I was gonna say it was probably recorded on the Atomic Arena tour or something, because like you say, everything's from that album on back. So it's probably
yeah, it
something
was
they had
recorded
in
on the
the
Atomic Arena tour. Yeah.
yeah, something they had in the hopper and threw together, like you say, a contractual agreement. Got to put something out. So yeah, I mean, for what it is, documenting that point in their career and having something live from them, it's cool for that. But is it a great live album? No, it's not going to rival, you know, some of the best ones out there, like Kiss Alive or something. But
Well, Birth Pangs is way better.
yeah,
It's way better. It's essentially it's basically the Elements of Rock show. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube.
yeah,
They took the audio from that for the most part.
cool.
So, and they had a couple of different. They had like an instrumental. It was like a thing they did, and I think there might have been another song on there. I've only listened to it like once. It's a digipack and it annoys me. So
Hey, did you back? Yeah, I know that's what
I literally did nothing to it. It's already the whole cover's already scratched up, and I literally only played it a couple times and had it sitting
Yeah,
I think we all agree
here on my
that
desk, and but
digipacks suck.
yeah, I mean, I so badly want to get Rock in a Hard Place, but until I can get one with the jewel case, I'm not buying it. I just won't do it.
yeah. Well, I've switched. I don't know if you saw what I'm holding up here, but I still prefer jewel cases. But then I take them out of the jewel cases, and I got these sleeves that are really thin. It holds the CD on one side.
Okay.
You can fit the back panel card and the cover all inside of it. So, and they're like a soft like felt or something on the inside, so they don't scratch the CDs. I've been buying these for a few years. I've switched everything out of jewel cases to these, and
And then how do you store them?
I've got I bought like a 4-drawer cabinet thing, a cheap
Uh.
plastic one by that company Sterilite that makes like totes and things. So it's a 4-drawer Sterilite cabinet, and I just got them front to back in there in rows. So like when you're flipping through CDs at the store, got them alphabetically in rows. But it takes up so much less space, and if I drop this, it doesn't break. Like every time you drop a jewel case, the little ears pop off, or the little spindles in the middle break, and then the CD won't stay in. So
Right.
yeah. But I still prefer, yes, to buy a jewel case and then stick them in these, because digipacks you're kind of stuck with. You can't do anything with those.
Well, I'll tell you two live albums that are really bad is Saint. I think it's '05, Live '05.
Okay. Yeah, I
Ugh.
like that one.
I haven't heard that one.
And the other one,
Is that Josh Kramer though?
I think it is. It might be. I haven't listened to it in a long time. The other one is Dokken. Is it Tooth and Nail? Is that the live? No,
Beat from
it's
the East.
yes.
Unleashed or the Beast
The
from
Beast.
the East. Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's the
that-
same thing. That was a contractual obligation.
Horrible.
Because George Lynch had it with Don Dokken, so that was their last album together at that juncture. So they threw that out there.
Absolutely terrible.
I tell you who's put out some good live albums. I don't know if either of you guys were ever into Leatherwolf, another like LA band, but I always liked Leatherwolf, and I've picked up their last couple live ones. They sound phenomenal,
Who is it?
Really. Leatherwolf.
Oh.
Not a Christian band, but they were like an LA metal band. But man, those are good sounding live albums.
Okay. I'm still waiting, Lego. You got to put that Dokken acoustic live album in there.
I think I have it on my drive. I just have to release it to you. I'm pretty sure I ripped it on there or transferred the files. I'll have to look.
That's the one I really dug.
That's
The one that's like the live acoustic one, like One Night Live.
Live.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I still have the VHS of that.
All right, I guess let's talk a little bit about Rattle Your Cage.
My favorite.
Really, as this one I didn't really get into, but it has my second favorite Barren Cross song,
Which one's
which
that?
is "Here I Am." I love
Yeah,
that
that's
song.
a great song. That's a great song. I like it. I mean, when it came out, it was like, a little different sounding, obviously, than State of Control, but still Barren Cross.
Right.
I mean, it comes out with Rattle Your Cage, which is just a really cool song. I love that kind of intro thing it's got. Here I Am is a great song. Feed the Fire, that's a great song, man.
Yeah.
Such a groove on that one.
There's actually not a bad song on that album. There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't.
Yeah. The only thing bad about it, this cover sucks.
Oh, it's terrible. It's horrible.
Would you have some guy like 2-year-old who was just playing with his iPad or something to create this? I mean, it's like
No, you know what?
Well, what's worse is the inside band photo where they're in that room and Mike Lee has his shoes off and they're there's a couch and you can see there's just like some sheets hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, there you go. That is terrible. That is absolutely.
But it was a horrible cover. It's like, and then they like say they changed the logo. Gone was the kind of cool looking logo.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that cover, because it looks a little bit. This was '94. This was when Myst came out, and it's kind of got that kind of feel to it. That video game Myst for the PC.
Yeah.
It has that look to it.
I'm just not a fan of the overly computer done album.
No, I
covers.
I don't like them either.
I'm a fan of Derek Riggs when he used to paint the Iron Maiden album covers, and they were awesome. When album cover art mattered, this is like you didn't even try.
Yeah.
Well, when that album came out, they had that compilation album first, and they released 2 tracks. It was on Premium Cuts.
Yep, I have that.
Yep, I got that too.
And I remember Steve brought it home when I was living with him, and he's like, "Oh, I got this. There's some new Barren Cross in here," and I heard it, and I was like, I wasn't really into it at first, but it really grew on me. Actually, it's better. I mean, for me, I really, back when it came out, I really liked State of Control, but as I listened to it over the years, it's kind of lost some.
I would agree a little bit with that.
Luster and Rattle Your Cage for me is my favorite.
I would agree a little bit because I'm sort of a production snob, and to me, State of Control was very, very like high end, hiss and kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but it was a very high end sounding record, a lot of treble and stuff. And Rattle Your Cage is more, can I say this on here, ballsy?
Yeah.
it's just a crunchier album. It's got a better punch to the drums. That's why I think I like Atomic Arena's production better than State of Control. State of Control was a little too late 80s glam production,
Yeah.
This is a little more raw, punchy production. Right. So it's sort of like when Stryper did In God We Trust, and the production was like, where's the bass? It's just all high end and, sizzly, and that's kind of how State of Control is,
I wish they would remaster that, either that or re-record it or do something, because that album is still a really good album. I mean, there's like maybe 2 songs on there and I really don't care for. But I remember everybody was hyped for that album, and it is what it is,
Yeah. Like I said, there's some of the really good songs on there, but I'd love to hear that thing like re-recorded or something. Just re-record the whole album with today's production and,
Well, he wouldn't be able to sing that high now. I mean, some of those songs, I don't think he'd be able to do it.
Yeah. Which, probably they would sound better nowadays, probably. It was really nasally and,
Well, he was sick. He was sick during the recording.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, I love 95% of that album. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah, I still listen to it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really strong songs on it,
Yep.
Yeah, even the band didn't like the production, so they're not alone on that one,
But yeah, that Barren Cross shirt you're wearing, I when the album came out, and maybe a month or 2 later, I don't know what it was. I ordered a hat and that shirt, and I had totally forgotten about it. I ordered it, and I think I might have told you the story, Mike. But I came home on Christmas Day to eat dinner with my parents or whatever, and my mom's like, "A guy called for you yesterday. He said his name was Ray Paris."
You're like, what?
From a band, and I was like, Ray Paris. She's like, yeah, he said that he ordered a T-shirt and a hat, and they just been behind, and just to let him know, let him know it's on its way. And
Yeah, that's pretty
he
awesome.
goes, she's like, oh, well, I'm not sure when I'm going to see him. And he goes, well, you're going to see him on Christmas, right? And she goes, oh, well, yeah, and blah blah blah. And he ended up talking to her for a couple of minutes, but my mom told me, she's like, oh, this guy Ray Paris called, and the first thing that came to my mind was, did he sound cool? That's what I said. But yeah, it's he actually called my parents' house because I must have put their phone number on it, and
That's awesome.
he called on Christmas Eve.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
And spoke to my mother saying there was a way, and I still have that shirt.
That tells you how like underground it was, because here's the bands themselves shipping this stuff and calling you to say, sorry, your order's not there yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what was it? Michael Sweet, his first, he put out a demo before his solo one. And he sold like 30,000 copies. He shipped it all himself.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And it had like 4 songs on it.
Yeah.
Well, he had to cut out all the middlemen, because, he was working as a park ranger or something. He probably needed the cash.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's the crazy part. I think, everybody thinks, oh, these Christian metal bands that saw some level of success, Sacred Warrior, right, White Cross, everybody's thinking, they're probably making a good living. I doubt it. Those guys weren't making much, No,
they didn't make any money from being in the band, but being in the band opened up some doors for them to do other things and make some money.
Yeah, I think that's the fallacy people think because they got signed to Pure Metal and put out 3 albums. Oh, they're probably like, rich. No, they had to pay all that money back for those albums, for the recording costs and the pressing and everything else.
But they probably made some money touring at least.
Well, you watch Trenches of Rock, and Bloodgood said they made no money, right? They, Michael Bloodgood said, I made a determination that everybody was going to get $2 or whatever he said after the show, so they at least buy like a candy bar or something, So
that's the only. The only good thing the only good thing for I guess the Christian bands is if they were playing like Christian venues like churches or things. At least people they could probably be put up in people's houses for a free night stay and having to pay for hotels, and at least they probably got fed by the church or something. But otherwise, they weren't probably getting a whole lot of fancy meals and fancy lodging.
Yeah. They probably only made money selling merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I remember when, Mike, we were talking about this when One Bad Pig played years ago in Groveland, and they drove all the way here from Texas. That was a one-off gig. They drove all the way from Texas to play Groveland, turned around, drove all the way back to Texas.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And what they did was they had all the gear in the van, and then they put a mattress on top of that. So a couple of the guys could climb up on top of the mattress. So you're laying like, there's this much room between your nose and the top of the van. They could take turns sleeping up there and do shifts driving. So that's how they drove here for that show.
That's crazy.
They weren't making money. Whatever they made for that show at our church would barely cover their expenses, I'm sure,
Wow.
But yeah, that's the kind of stuff bands were doing back then because, they weren't doing the same tours Motley Crue was doing where you're in Indianapolis, then you're in Chicago, then you're in Milwaukee, then you're in, no, they were like, you're in Pekin tonight, but tomorrow you're in Cincinnati, and the next night you're in Texas. And so, they were road warriors for sure. Well, it's like when Guardian came here that first time. They're from California. They drove all the way here. It was just the guys in a van, with a U-Haul behind it with their gear. So driving from LA to clear out here, they didn't do a one-off here. They had some other gigs, but geez, it was, they were definitely doing it because they wanted to do it and for the ministry, not for money,
That's why probably the festivals were so good for them.
Yeah.
You had ours. There was one in Pennsylvania that was huge.
Creation Fest.
Well, it makes you wonder, though. I mean, when they have so many bands, what do you split the gate? You split.
I don't know.
I don't know what they got if they were contractually like
granted,
guaranteed
maybe
to
like
get.
the lower level guy got less
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, because even like Cornerstone in its heyday when it was running 30,000 people, I don't know what like the headliners of the main stage got, compared to like the bands playing the tents up by the parking lot.
Did
Yeah.
you guys play Cornerstone?
Us?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we only ever played in like the Heaven's Metal tent or the Sanctuary tent.
Okay.
We never
And
played anything bigger than a tent.
you didn't get any money or nothing?
Mm-mm. Nope, we never got paid. I mean, you could sell merch and you got to keep all your merch. They didn't take
Right.
a cut of your merch or anything, but that was it for us. And honestly, kind of the way we got our foot in the door at Cornerstone anyway was because Kevin, our guitar player, had the PA. So he was the guy providing the PA for the Sanctuary stage. So they're like, I guess if you guys are providing the PA, you can play. So that was kind of our in. But we never made anything. And Kevin ran sound for 5 days out there, didn't make anything either. So, it was a labor of love. But it was cool because, I mean, there was one year that, you guys know who David Benson is? He put out some albums. He kind of sounds like Ozzy.
Okay.
He put out an album called like Holy Psychotherapy or something in the 90s. And it was a big deal because everybody's like, oh, he sounds just like Ozzy. And he kind of did, with his voice. But he played there. And I guess he's friends with Robert Sweet. So, I mean, here's this little sanctuary stage, tent at Cornerstone. And Robert Sweet came and played drums for David Benson. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I was helping Robert Sweet, like get his drums on stage and stuff and put the mics on them. And I'm like, that was pretty cool. So we had some cool stuff we had. And you guys know who Accept is. And then, not the Christian, they're not a Christian band, but Accept's been around forever,
That was the band that I thought was trying to recruit Ken Tamplin.
Yeah, they did. Right. Yeah. They offered that lead singer position. Well, their bass player, Peter, is a Christian. And he was at Cornerstone. It might have been that same year Robert was there. And he was hanging out at the Sanctuary tent. And there used to be a band called Fog. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them. Stood for 4 old guys. But they were just playing kind of like what you call like biker hard rock, They all wore like leather and biker clothes. And but Peter Baltes from Accept got up on stage with them at Cornerstone and they did AC/DC song or something. And I'm like, well, this is surreal. Here's a guy from Accept playing an AC/DC song at Cornerstone, So it was pretty cool. I mean, they had Robert Sweet there and Peter Baltes, and there was some cool stuff that happened. But
Did you see AC/DC has a new video?
yeah, I watched it because I was like, I want to hear what it sounds like. And it sounded like AC/DC, I was wondering if they'd stayed kind of true to their sound, and pretty much did.
Well, I mean, they're not going to do anything different.
No.
They
really can't.
They've had the same formula.
Well, and I'll be honest. I'm one of those guys who appreciates that. It's like if you got popular because you sound like that, then that's what you need to sound like. I hate when like the 90s hit and every 80s metal band decided, oh, we have to be kind of grungy now because that's what's in. And so Dokken tried to be grunge and Warrant tried to be grunge. It's like, it's not working, Stick to what you do, and some of the Christian metal bands have even done it. Their later material they've been putting out sounds nothing like they did back in the day. And
Guardian.
I'm like, people love you because of how you sounded. You should stick with that sound.
Right, like Holy Soldier with that. What was that one album?
Promise Man.
Promise.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it at all. I tried again too. I thought it's been 25 years. Let me give it another chance, and I still don't like it.
Well, I tell you what really worked for Guardian is they found kind of their own thing. I mean, they evolved pretty well. I mean, maybe we should talk about Guardian next.
Yeah, that's a great band. I'd be down for that.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I've always appreciated, like, I don't like Slayer. I've never been like a fan of Slayer, but I will give Slayer props for they've become world famous and everybody's like Slayer, they've become like this iconic band and they've stuck to their guns and just played their split your head open thrash metal or whatever, and never changed. It's just like, that's who we are. That's what we are. And,
right.
They love it. They didn't try and be, well, we'll be this because that's popular now. We'll be that because it's popular,
Right.
My heart is melodic metal, traditional metal, classic metal, whatever you want to call it, power metal. That's my heart. And I'm never going to do something different because it wouldn't be genuine if I did, So.
Right. That's just what you like.
Yeah. I'm not going to go start trying to do like rap metal or hardcore metal or something that's, not in my blood.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's always frustrating to see bands totally changed their sound. And, you know, and the 80s too. I mean, all the bands that had started out like maybe in the LA or New York scene as like more raw metal bands. By about 85, they were all becoming a little more pop metal and wearing makeup. And it's like, you know, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if you chase trends and never
Really wanted to get,
got to stick
you know.
stick to who you are, you know?
Yep.
That's my soapbox for tonight.
All right. You guys want to got anything else about Barren Cross?
I actually got to meet him a couple times, and very down to earth guys. I mean, they were really cool. I mean, like say Ray Paris and Steve Whitaker. Jim Laverty is crazy. If you ever had a chance to kind of talk with him and stuff, I mean, he's just fun. He's kind of a, you know, hyper guy. But we actually, when we went to Elements of Rock in 2013, and we stayed at a Boy Scout campground in cabins, but we were in the same cabin as Jim Laverty. And so we got to hang out with him a lot that weekend. So that was kind of fun to get to know him. And he was really, like I say, down to earth guy. What I appreciate, I think, about the bands we've talked about so far, which I guess has only been two, Striper and Barren Cross, but we veered off to Bloodgood and White Cross and those bands. I think all those bands are the ones that are very much genuinely, we're in it for ministry. We're in it because they love the Lord. You know, we're doing it for the right reasons. I mean, I'm sure there's some Christian bands that hopped on the bandwagon, so to speak, and fell off the bandwagon like Rage of Angels and things. But, you know, I think you see that's the reason there's still White Cross is still around and Bloodgood and Striper. And
well, I think it's also because they just love doing music.
Yeah.
Also.
But I've always respected, like, say, Barren Cross and Bloodgood and Striper because you can see their hearts and see that the guys have stayed true to what they started out doing and why they're doing it. And, you know.
Right.
I mean, sure, they had struggles and things. Sure, who doesn't? But I mean, yeah, I think you can see that they're solid Christians. I mean, Michael Bloodgood's a pastor, you know. So.
Well, we could take up Guardian next, or we could talk about Bloodgood. Don't matter to me.
Yeah, either one. I got something to say about both of them. So.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I think if you're gonna talk like the sort of trifecta of the early days of Christian metal, it kind of is Striper, Barren Cross, and Bloodgood. You know, those are probably sort of like the first three sort of major Christian hard rock metal bands.
Yeah, the first one I heard was Striper. The second one I heard was actually Messiah Prophet. And then the third one that I heard was Bride. And then Bloodgood came after that.
Yeah, those are things. They're all starting around the same time, but it's like who got their album out first, you know? Because Messiah Prophet had Rock the Flock, you know, but then they kind of got a little more popular when Master of the Metal came out, you know?
Yeah, and see, I was late to all that stuff because I was late to Striper. I didn't hear Striper until 86. So, you know, I had Soldiers Under Command, and then I had to go back and hear, you know, Yellow and Black Attack. Master of the Metal was already out. I didn't know about Rock the Flock. You know, Detonation was out. I didn't know that, you know, Bloodgood had another album. So, yeah, I was kind of late to it.
Yeah, I remember Saint, too. I remember getting Warriors of the Sun on cassette. The first one, which is, you know, really raw, you know.
Right.
But it was a cool album, you know. And it was very heavy. I mean, it was like they were like really, for that time, like a totally different style of sort of Christian metal, a little bit more heavy and dark and, you know. But then we haven't even got to like, let's say when Christian thrash started to happen and you had like the first Vengeance album and you just put that on and went, whoa, you know. Deliverance and Sacrament and all that stuff started coming out.
Yeah, I wasn't hip on that. Really.
I do. It's funny because I really don't like harsh vocals. I will be the first guy that's like, as soon as somebody starts going, ugh, I'm tapping out, you know. But for some reason, I can handle Vengeance. I love those first two Vengeance albums. Once Dead and the debut Human Sacrifice.
The first one was really good. I probably can't listen to it today. About as heavy as I get is the first two Deliverances, and then after that, I'm out.
Yeah. That's what I like about
Deliverance got better over time. You know what I mean? See, I didn't really like the first album, and then, you know, what was the big one? Weapons of
Weapons of
Warfare. That was the second one.
Yeah, and that one was okay, but you know, I started liking them a little bit, after that, like when Learn came out and Camelot and Smithereens and River Disturbance. I think that's when they finally hit like where Jimmy Brown really wanted to be. You know what I mean? I think that and like his new solo album is really awesome. But I love Deliverance now. I was all pumped to go to that festival this summer, and then that got canceled.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah, exactly.
He's great. He's a great vocalist. He's got a great voice.
He is, and that's why I think I really liked the early Deliverance, because it was thrash, but yet he was singing. He wasn't growling. He wasn't screaming. He was singing, which is kind of like when Anthrax brought in Joey Belladonna, and it's like, okay, he's actually singing over this heavy music. I mean, I appreciate that. I can handle the music being super heavy, but I still want a singer. I don't want a screamer or a growler or gargler or whatever. I want vocals,
Right.
Yeah, but it's weird. As like Vengeance is that one band I can take the harsh vocals on the Human Sacrifice, especially.
But yeah, Barren Cross, probably my all-time favorite Christian rock band. Honestly, I just have just something about Mike Lee. I don't know. It's not, he's not the greatest singer, but he is one of the most unique voices.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else sounded, I mean, Les Carlson sounds like Les Carlson. He doesn't sound like anybody. But, you had Scott Wenzel. He kind of had that rad feel. Jamie Rowe has kind of like that bluesy. He sounds like Jamie Rowe, but, there's a lot of people that's similar style to him. Like Mike Lee had his own style. People compare it to Bruce Dickinson, but I don't really see the comparison at all, honestly.
Really? Yeah, I hear it at times. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. He's just kind of like a raw type of a singer. Sometimes he doesn't always sound great, but he's very unique actually. And Barren Cross they're my favorite. They're my favorite Christian rock band of all time, even though they have a very limited catalog. And it really, like I said, irritates me that they won't put out one last album. Come on, guys. I mean, it's annoying,
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear, during the Trenches of Rock? I mean, we know you and we absolutely love Rock in a Hard Place. And it seemed like the band really hated that album. At least that's the impression I got from the documentary.
Well, they said really it was just production, right? They said it was the production they hated. I don't think they hated the album itself, but they complained that you couldn't hear Michael Bloodgood's bass or whatever. But I don't think they hated it. I just think they weren't happy with how it was released. And supposedly they fixed it. I don't know, but to me, I never noticed anything. It sounded great. That
was another one. Like we're talking about, it's like State of Control has that little bit high end production.
It does have a high end.
So did Rock and Hard to Play. So did God We Trust. Everybody was going for that, that kind of production, and I'm not sure why, because
they all came out They all came out at the same time.
Yeah, it's like everything was super compressed sounding or something. I don't know. For me, Bloodgood's pinnacle album for me is Detonation.
Oh yeah, I love that album.
I like the production on it better, but I really like Rock and Hard Place. There's great songs on it. I mean, Seven's an incredible song. Great way to end the album.
That album is so short. It's like every song is like 3 minutes. I mean, it's like one of the shortest albums I think I ever have.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the one? What's the second song? He should have tightened up his Bible belt. Shaking It.
Oh,
Shaking
no,
It.
that's the first song. That's the first song.
Oh, first song. Okay, yeah, Shaking It's a great song. I mean, it's a great album. I just wish the production would have, it was something funky again with going on with the recording on that one.
Yep.
I was a little let down by their follow-up because I thought, it's like the edge was kind of gone. It wasn't as heavy,
Out of Darkness?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The one after that.
All Stand Together?
Oh, All Stand Together.
Yeah. That was kind of a letdown because I thought Out of the Darkness was really good. It was back to more of a punchy production.
Right.
A lot of good songs on that. But then, it was kind of like, it wasn't so crazy about All Stand Together.
I think I've heard that album maybe twice.
It had some good songs again, but it was more poppy overall and wasn't as heavy and,
Right.
Yeah, I don't own that one. and you can't find it anymore.
I found it somewhere down in Decatur, actually.
Yeah, it's very hard. They didn't print that many copies, and I don't think they've ever re-released that one.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Did you see that, this week they had, or was it last week, they had the big vinyl push for the Splash Bloodgood albums?
Yeah.
The first two, I think it was. I don't know. I just can't drop $40-$50 on one album.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like gatefold though. I guess there's a poster in them, and
yeah, they're really pushing.
But the thing about it is, I buy it, I'm not going to open it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it literally could be brown paper. It could be a brown paper bag in the middle, and I wouldn't even know because I'm not going to open it. So seriously, I mean, who's going to open? I'm not going to open it.
Just going to go in the cover, huh?
That's my thing. I haven't really bought any of these like re-released vinyl ones because I'm like, well, I mean, I've got the original vinyls and I've got them on CD, and it's like, like you said, Steve, if I buy it, I'm probably not going to open it and listen to it. So just to have it sitting on the shelf, the practical me is going, oh, you probably don't need it, but the kid me, the 50-year-old kid's like, I really want it though.
Yeah, I know. I want them all, but
yeah, I mean,
I can't do it.
I want to open it, then I'll be like I was when I was a comic collector, right? I'd buy 2 copies of every comic, and one I would read, and one I'd put right in the bag and never look at it. So I'd probably buy 2 copies of so I could open one record, and one I'd have, never touched.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, like I said, I'm never gonna, take the time to break the record player out ever. You know what I mean? Because it's just not convenient. So I was like, why bother?
I know. I've actually got one right behind me, and I don't think I've used it for like 2 years.
Oh man.
So. Because everything I've pretty much got on CD or whatever, and then I rip my CDs to MP3, and so it's like everything's with me. It's all in here. So, it's the main way.
All I know is that you could get a lot of money for that debut Barren Cross, that Believe.
Yeah, I won't sell that though.
I think Steve is trying to get you to sell it to him.
No, for the right price, but
yeah.
But no, I mean. I said, when I buy these re-releases on CD of Atomic Arena and State of Control, I'll sell my old copies. But then I'm like, I can't sell these. These are like the original releases. So now I have 2 copies.
So now you're tied, How many copies? Tell them how many copies you had of To Hell with the Devil back in the day.
Well, on cassette, my gosh, at least I burned through at least 4 cassettes. Burned through them. I played them so much that little brush would come off in the middle.
Yeah.
And I had like 4 copies of that. I think I had 2 copies of In God We Trust because I just wore them out. I mean, they got played so much.
That's how I always treated cassettes as disposable music, because you knew at some point it was gonna get eaten by the cassette deck, and you had to buy another one.
Yep.
As soon as you hear that little, you're like, no, stop, and it's too late. It's already sucked in 3 feet of tape, and
Yeah.
Kids these days, they don't know what it's like to get that pencil out and go.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, I used to repair them, like that little brush would fall off the middle. I'd find some tape I didn't like. Oh, this tape sucks, and I
transfer it into it.
I'd pluck off the little thing. It was like a little spring with a little pad in there, and I'd unscrew it, or I'd pry it apart and put it in there and fix it. It would work for a while.
Exactly. Or if it broke, the tape snapped. You're like, well, I can put a little piece of Scotch tape on there. It's going to have just a little second where the audio drops out, but at least it's back together.
Yeah. And I used to polish all mine with Pledge.
What?
I polished the cases, and I'd polish the cassettes, so they'd be all shiny and stuff.
Really? Nice.
Totally.
That's awesome.
I was pretty anal about my vinyl. Every single time I played a record, I would get the cleaner out, the spray cleaner and the little brush thing, and I always kept my vinyl like shiny and sparkling and clean. And I remember when I was a kid, Steve, you'll appreciate this. I think it might have been Ace's solo album. I had all 4 of them, obviously. I dropped Aces, and when I did, it hit something. It went, put like a gouge in it. From that point on, it skipped every time I played it. I'm like, no, So then you have to go buy a new one because you can't have one that skips.
Right.
Yep, my Striper, Soldiers Under Command, that song has a skip on it. So what did I do? I bought a new one.
Oh yeah, I can't listen to something defective. You know,
Nope.
got to play right. I remember back I was talking about this last night with Robin because back when Queensryche put out the warning, I remember going to the store and buying it. I brought it home and it had some defect on it. I don't know what the defect was, but it was like, that's not right. Took it back, got another one, did it. Took it back, got another one, did it. And it turns out like the first pressing all had this like defect in them. So I had to keep returning it till I finally got one that didn't, you know?
That sounds like Montgomery.
Yeah.
As soon as if he has anything, you know, spindle's broken, whatever, sends it back.
Yeah. Well, I remember, do you guys know who the band Dream Evil is? Either of you ever heard them?
Yeah.
They're a newer band. Well, newer. They've got 7 albums out, probably been around 15, 20 years now, but they're from Sweden. And their first album is that way. The CD at the very last song, there's some weird noise that comes in, like that something happened in the pressing of the CD or whatever. And it's like noise is not supposed to be there. And same thing, return it. And it was like the whole first pressing or something must have been that way. So I just have it with the stupid noise, but I didn't rebuy it, but you know. Yeah,
But
Well,
we
it's
got
like,
about 2 minutes.
I was
Steve,
telling you when
go ahead.
Striper recorded when they did that re-record. What was that album called? When they
Second
did all the
Coming?
clap-
Coming.
Second Coming. In the at the very end of Free, there's a, and I have 2 copies of it, so I know it's not a bad copy. There is at the very end, there's like a bleep, there's this weird bloop in it. It's got to be really loud, and you can hear it. And I'm like, so annoying, but it's like there's like a glitch in it from them from processing it. You'll have to listen to it, and as it's fading, not fading, but probably about 30 seconds to the end, you'll hear like this bleep, weird like noise in the
now
background.
they have to go look for it.
Oh,
You know?
man.
And of course, that being the best song of the album, it's kind of like, what? They didn't catch that? Come on.
Yeah. As they say, how do they let these things through, you know? They need us to proof it for them. We'd catch these things.
I
So,
would.
Steve, are you wearing a Conception shirt?
I am.
Ah, cool.
Yep. I got it
So
when
you're one of the 3 people around here who knows who Conception are. Steve Montgomery, you, me, a couple others.
Yeah, when I ordered the new album, and I ordered a shirt, and I ordered their EP and stuff, and it took like 3 months for it to get here from the UK or something.
Yeah. Some guy was paddling real fast from Norway or whatever, you know. Yeah, I first got into Conception with their first album, believe it or not, way back in the mid-'90s. When there was like metal was dead in the States and stuff, I found this metal mail order place, and I'm like, who's Conception? Hey, I'll take a chance on it. This sounds cool. And yeah, that really got me into them. So, I mean, and then Roy Kahn goes on to sing for Camelot and get huge, you know, but yeah, Conception's a cool band.
Yeah, their new album's not that great, though. I was disappointed.
Got about a minute left.
Well, I mean, I'd say, let's do it again. I don't care what either one of those bands is cool with me.
You want Blood Good?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think there's enough material. I mean, they got 5 or 6 albums, and I think we could do this for a while with other bands too. I mean, you got White Cross with a big catalog, and
oh heck yeah, we got to do White Cross. We got to do Saint. We got to do Guardian. Probably Sacred Warrior. Gosh, who else? Then we could start maybe doing some of the compilations and just talking about some of the other off bands and stuff.
you can do all the greatest one-hit wonders that only had one album, like Recon and Rage of Angels and all these bands that had killer albums and then disappeared.
Yep.